Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrutyam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki. Srila Prabhupada called NOD as law book of nature. Our whole movement is on Bhakti Yoga. If Bhakti Yoga is not presented scientifically, then anyone can claim to be pure devotee and masses can be cheated. NOD teaches what is real Bhakti. With this, we can know who has real bhakti and are they fit to be associated. We are hearing about the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, which we are hearing from this grantha. Nana Shastra Vicharanakaihi Nipuno Sadharma Samstapakau Lokanam Hitakarinau Tribhune Manyo Sharanyakau Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajananandena Mattalikau Vande Rupasanatano Raghu Yogo Sri Jiva Gopalako. This is dedication to the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. Its meaning is, I offer my respectful obeisance unto the 6 Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Bhatt Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatt Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus, they are honored all over the 3 worlds, and they are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Radha and Krishna.
So basically, the thing which you have started from today is Nectar of Devotion, something which is a guidebook, which is going to tell us how to do bhakti, what real devotion is. And this is possible because of the instructions which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave to the 6 Goswamis and especially Rupa Goswami. So that is what we are going to be continuing today. And that is why we first of all offer our obeisances to the 6 Goswamis, and we offer this mantra, Nana Shastra Vicharanikau Nipano Shadharma Sanstapakau. So this particular slide is telling us the meaning and how it is important, each and every word. So Nana Shastra. So there have been various scriptures. We have seen when we have started the study of Srimad Bhagavatam, Vyasdev, who is an incarnation of Lord himself, has wrote everything down for the benefit of the humans in Kali Yuga, because he could foresee that as Kali Yuga progresses, the lifespan is going to go down, the memory is going to be affected, and so nothing can continue further with only Smaran and Shruti. So he wrote down all the Shastras. And even after writing down everything, he was not satisfied. And it is at that time that he wrote Srimad Bhagavatam. And that is why Bhagavatam is called the topmost of all the literatures. So there are so many various scriptures. So these Shad Goswamis, they have been very useful in this Kali Yuga to make it understandable for us, to make it relatable for all of us. So second part of the shloka is Vicharana Kau. So when we are talking about Vicharini Kau, here what is studying is in scrutinizingly studying. So Vicharana, that is in scrutinizingly studying. And they are expert, and that is why we are talking about Nipano. And then it's about Satadharma of eternal religious principles. And they have established them. And then Sanstapakam. So these are those Goswamis who have scrutinizingly studied all the various scriptures, who have become expert in it, and who are establishing the eternal religious principles. So that is the first sentence. Nana Shastra Vicharnikau Nipano Shadharma Sanstapakau. And then comes the objective. Lokanam hitakarinau tribhuvane manyau sharanya karau. Lokanam, for all human beings. Hitakarino, who are the performers of beneficial activities. Tribhuvane, throughout the three worlds. Manyu, who are worthy of honor. And Sharanyakaro, who are worth taking shelter of. So such has been their activities, that whatever they did, established, it was for all the human beings, and they have done the performance of beneficial activities not only here but throughout the three worlds, and hence they are worth taking shelter of as well as honoring. And how? Radha Krishna Padar Vinda Bhajana Anande Mattalikau, of Radha Krishna at the lotus feet Padar Vinda, in the place of worshipping Bhajan Anandena Mattalikau, who are intoxicated with the mood of the gopis. So as we would like to understand who these Srila Goswamis are, today we are also going to be, if time permits, understanding, and if not today, tomorrow, that they are the incarnations. They have come back as gopis. So they were the gopis, and they have come here again to perform in the Leela of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As we have been seeing repeatedly, Lord Krishna appeared in this world, in this Kali Yuga, as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and to ensure that he gives us the knowledge of Krishna Bhakti, or how Bhakti has to be performed. So that is how they have been guiding us. And to participate in his pastimes, even his other associates, the gopis, they have also come in the form of Shata Goswamis. So we'll be going through all of these as we study Nectar of Devotion. So coming back to the Goswamis, they wrote so many books, and the intention was to establish what is the real religion. What had happened is, over the period, over the centuries, the real religion had been lost. There were many attacks on the Hindu culture, on the Vaishnava culture. So people initially had forgotten what is dharma, what is religion. They had become atheists. And so to get them out of atheism, Lord Buddha had arrived. And then he gave some principles. And then once that stage was reached, then we had Shankaracharya who came and who gave the principle of Brahman. So we moved to the next level. And as the people became established, they understood what is Brahman. It was important that the original knowledge be established. And that is what was done by all these Goswamis. And why? It was done for Lokanam Hitakare. They were doing everything only as welfare activities for the people in general. Lokanam. They were not doing it for themselves. They were not doing it so that they get the name. Already they had become devotees and were getting the benefit of the association. But still they did everything so that all the other people and subjects could get benefit out of it. So formerly the society was so much great. It was good. It was not that much degraded as we see today. So Prabhupada ji has written this and mentioned this in one of his lectures, as you can see in this slide here. So as soon as you gave evidence from the Vedic literature, they would accept. So these Goswamis were making research from the Vedic literature, Samved, Rigved, Upanishads, Vedanta Sutra, Puranas, Mahabharata, Srimad Bhagavatam. And in Prakriti Samrut Sindhu, you will find evidences of all these Nana Shastra Vicharanikau. Just give a minute, I'll change my place. Yeah. So it is important that we continue to follow them. So when it was being mentioned, Narottam Das Thakur wrote a prayer as well. So Narottam Das Thakur in his prayer called as Lalsamui prayer is mentioning Rupa Raghunatha Pade Haibe Akuti Kabe Ham Bhuja Basa Yugala Piriti. When I'm eager to understand the literature given by the Goswamis, then I shall be able to understand the transcendental loving affairs of Radha and Krishna. See, what we're doing today is trying to understand by studying of this book, Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, is very important. So Narottam Das Thakur has clearly mentioned in his prayers that unless we become eager to understand this literature, we'll not be able to understand the transcendental affairs of Radha and Krishna, and will not be suitable enough to go back to Godhead. Om Agyantimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmulitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadhamayam Tadati Swa Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavati Pashatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So this was just a small, what I'll say, summary or importance of why we are going to be studying Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. And we have started this by offering our obeisances to the SadaGoswamis. So the important part to understand amongst all this is about the author of Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, as to why this has become important. So as Narottam Das Thakur mentioned, this literature was researched. Everything had gone down over the years, over the ages. But then the SadaGoswamis, they did the research, they understood, they unearthed everything, and they documented everything. And that is how today we have the benediction, we have the benefit of going through this literature, which was unfortunately being lost. And the objective of this whole literature, of their exercise, was so that they can re-establish the principles of dharma, the religion, and help in propagating the movement of like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and ensure that what he mentioned, that each and every corner of the world, even smallest of the smaller neighborhood of a village, there will be Krishna Nam. And that is something which is possible only when the literature or the science is properly explained. So this is what was done by these 6 Goswamis. And the one who was the most active amongst them, who we also offer our obeisances as one of the incarnations of, just like the modern day Vyasadeva, is Sri Rupa Goswami. So to understand him further, we need to understand what all his activities are. So starting the study of Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu can happen only when we understand who is Srila Rupa Goswami. So it is said, it is what we pray. Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam. So Sri Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya. When will he give me shelter under his lotus feet? That is what we are praying. Why? Because he is the one who has created everything. So many times it is said that we are Rupanugas. You would have heard this from many people. Arey, you are Rupanugas. Aap Rupanuga hai. So what does Rupanuga mean? Rupa definitely refers to Sri Rupa Goswami. And Anuga means follower. So the Krishna consciousness movement is conducted under the supervision of Srila Rupa Goswami. Even Prabhupada ji has clearly mentioned and documented it, that whatever we are doing as per instructions which are documented by Rupa Goswami. This particular thing was clearly mentioned in the preface to the Nectar of Instruction. So that is another book which we may do after completing the Nectar of Devotion. So how is it possible? We are called Rupanugas. Anuga means following, going, or following the footsteps of Rupa Goswami. So as Rupa Goswami is following his predecessor Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so we have to follow our predecessor, then we will be successful. So this following of the parampara, Guru Shishya parampara, is very important. Only when we follow it properly and successfully, then only we can get the mercy of Lord. So this is something which we have been repeatedly hearing and understanding. Even in Bhagavatam, it has been stressed that if we have to be successful, we need to get the blessings and we need to get the mercy of our Guru. And it is not that we approach someone and ask him to be Guru. It is a Guru who showers his mercy. Just like Prabhupada who has showered his mercy on all of us today, because of which we are able to understand this literature in our own language, whether it is English, Hindi, Marathi, Gujarati, Tamil, Telugu, Malayali, Russian, French, German, any language you think about, and all our literatures, the ancient scriptures have now been translated because of mercy of Srila Prabhupada, who without caring for himself traveled at the age when people generally would like to retire in Vrindavan. He went all the way across the ocean to America. While traveling on the merchant ship, he got 2 heart attacks, but still simply surrendered to Krishna and he said, I'm just a puppet, O Lord. You decide what you want to do with me. And the rest is history. He went to America and made all the hippies happy and established this movement and added to the fact that whatever Prabhupada, Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji has said is going to turn out to be true. So in Gaura Ganodesh Dipika, Sri Rupa Goswami is described to be the gopi named Sri Rupa Manjari. So we have been seeing Krishna and Radha, and along with Krishna and Radha, there are 8 major Ashtasakis. So does anyone remember the name of the Ashtasakis? Because tomorrow is an important day. Tomorrow is Radhashtami, which is the appearance day of Srimati Radharani. So amongst the Ashtasakis, we had Lalita, Vishakha, Chitralekha, Champaklata, and Tungavidya, Indulekha, Rangadevi, and Sudevi. And besides these Ashtasakis, there were a lot of Manjaris who used to be assisting in their endeavors. So one of that Manjari is named as, Gopi's name was Rupa Manjari. And she has come again as Rupa Goswami. So when we'll go through the history, we'll try to summarize about all the Shad Goswamis. We have a chart prepared in this presentation where you can understand who has come back as home. Now why we understand this is so that our strength, our faith becomes stronger, that whatever they are doing under the instructions of Krishna. In Golok Vrindavan, Srimati Radharani is lovingly served by the Ashtasakhis. And the most important amongst them is Lalita Sakhi, Lalita and Vishaka. And they are assisted by other 8 Manjaris, whose leader was Rupa Manjari. So their whole intention is how they can please Radha and Krishna, maybe by carrying their messages, giving them food, carrying fragrant flower garlands, preparing places for them, giving them tasty beverages, and all these activities. So they're very close to Krishna and Radha. And they're in their pure spiritual forms as maidservants, the 6 Goswamis plus Loknath and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswamis comprise the inner circle of the Manjaris. So just think, if today you are to meet the Prime Minister of India, can you approach him directly? No. But if you know that someone is very close to him and you pass the message to him, or you pass a message to someone who is close to that someone, then it is likely that your message will reach Prime Minister and he will give you an audience. So similarly, if you have to reach Krishna, it is not possible directly. You have to go through the agency. So it is said that we should follow the gopis because they are the topmost of the devotees who have been having anyabhilashita shuddha. They serve without any expectations. So even if he becomes a 1% of what these manjaris were doing, serving, then there is a likelihood that they will recommend us to the Ashtasakhis, and the Ashtasakhis will recommend it to Radharani. And if Radharani is recommending to something to Krishna, there is no way that Krishna is going to deny it. So, as I said earlier, these are the manjaris and how they have come here again in this Kali Yuga. So Rupa Goswami is the topmost Manjari, Rupa Manjari. Jiva Goswami is the Vilas Manjari. Sanatan Goswami is the Labanga Manjari. Raghunath Das Goswami is the Rati Manjari. Raghunath Bhatta Goswami is the Raga Manjari. Gopal Bhatta Goswami is the Ananga Manjari. Krishnadas Kaviraj is the Kasturi Manjari. Loknath Goswami is the Manjulali Manjari. So these 8 are the principal Manjaris. And then we have the other Manjaris. Narottam Das Thakur, who was Chamak Manjari. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who was Vinod Manjari. Jagannath Das Babaji, who was the Rasika Manjari. Bhakti Vinod Thakur, who was Kamala Manjari. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, who was the Guna Manjari. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who was the Nayan Manjari. So all this was mentioned by Srila Prabhupada at Radha Damodara when Prabhupada was there by Mahanidhi Swami. So this is how it has been documented, and this is not something which someone has decided. So in today's world, we find someone coming and declaring, I am Lord. And when we ask him to show how he is a Lord, he does not know. He can only do some magical tricks. But Shastras say that everything and about everyone is mentioned in the Shastras in advance. Because these Leelas, they are going on in different universes at the same time, in different periods. And so everything is written down. We call it history, but this is what actually is the truth. And this is how these people have come again to re-establish the principles of Krishna consciousness, how to serve Krishna and make it successful. So we saw in the previous chapters, in the previous lessons as well, how the whole creation manifested. So before the creation of this cosmic manifestation, the Lord enlightened the heart of Lord Brahma, the details of creation, and he gave him the Vedic knowledge. So we have seen how Garbhodakshay Vishnu is sleeping, taking rest in the ocean, and out from his navel comes a lotus flower with 14 petals, and Brahmaji is born on that. But having come out, he is bewildered. He does not understand everything. He does not know what is to be done. Why he is there, why he is alone. And it is at that time that Krishna enlightens him. He does not go and speak. He simply looks at him and passes on the whole knowledge to him, passes on the whole Vedic wisdom to him. And after getting that wisdom, Brahmaji starts the creation. So in exactly the same way, the Lord, being anxious to revive the Vrindavana pastimes of Lord Krishna, impregnated the heart of Rupa Goswami with spiritual potency. By this potency, Srila Rupa Goswami could revive the activities of Krishna in Vrindavan, activities almost lost to memory. In this way, he spread Krishna consciousness throughout the world. So this is what is documented in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 19.1. So we have already seen it previously when we started this session, how the knowledge was lost because of invasion. And it was important that it gets revived. All those places get originally found. So what Krishna did is, as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave the knowledge, he gave that wisdom to Rupa Goswami. And then all these things have successfully happened. At Radha Damodara Temple, Prabhupada ji has also mentioned that in 1933, at Srila Prabhupada's initiation, Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati instructed him to study his book, Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, the law book on devotional service. So, even Prabhupada ji, the instruction which he got was to first study Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is the spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada. So he instructed him right in 1933. As soon as he was initiated, that he has to study Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. Because this is a book which gives you all the rules, regulations, and information of what bhakti is, how bhakti has to be done. That is the importance of this book. So even before reading other scriptures, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur stressed on the importance of understanding Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. At another place, now Radha Damodara Temple, those of you who have visited Vrindavan may know it is that same temple where Rupa Goswami ji used to be doing his worship, and his samadhi is available. So Srila Prabhupada accepted sannyasa on September 17, 1959. And he went and stayed in Radha Damodara Temple only. And he concentrated his whole energy on translating into English the purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam. So whatever work he has done, he has just followed the footsteps of Rupa Goswami. He mentions that this corner at Radha Damodara Temple is just like the hub of the wheel of the spiritual world. And it is the center. That is how potent energy he could feel of Rupa Goswami. And he used to say that I eternally reside in my rooms at the Radha Damodara Temple. So even today, whenever we go and visit Vrindavan, we make it a point that we go offer our obeisances to Radha Damodar ji, and especially these places where Prabhupada ji wrote everything, where Prabhupada ji did his activities, where Rupa Goswami ji was there. They give us an energy which we cannot even fathom or think about. That is importance of Sri Rupa Goswami. Prabhupada ji also mentioned that his decision, it's mentioned about Prabhupada when we were having discussions about at Radha Damodara Temple, that Prabhupada's decision to stay in Radha Damodara Mandir was an indication of his conscious and fervent desire to live, serve, and write under the shelter of Srila Rupa Goswami, and to very practically seek his blessings for his life mission of translating the Srimad Bhagavatam and preaching in the West. That is how the whole circle is developing, the whole cycle is developing. That is the importance of Radha Damodara Temple. So when you went to Vrindavan, you had given up the idea of coming to the West. So this was a question which was once asked to Srila Prabhupada, and this is all mentioned in a transcendental diary. So when a devotee asked Prabhupada, Whether he had given up the idea of coming to the West? No. Coming to the West, the idea was there. But I was planning how to go there, how to preach there, how to take some books, how to bring them, everything. So the devotee further asked, so as soon as you had some books, then you were? Yes. Then I decided everything was being dictated by Superior. See, Rupa Goswami, he was indirectly, directly helping Prabhupada in re-establishing this mission. So, since Prabhupada was in such a congenial mood, the devotee further says in the book, with Srila Prabhupada in such a congenial mood, I took the courage to broach something Harikesh Prabhuji once mentioned to me. I was told that one day you were told by Rupa Goswami that you must go. Prabhupada's mood changed slightly. But that was open secret, he said dismissively. Everyone knew. Then he said something. So you see, Rupa Goswami, even after his having left this world physically, spiritually, he had been guiding Srila Prabhupada. The destiny was such that Prabhupada ji, who is a Bengali, who came, who got initiated, and where did he land up? In Radha Damodara Temple, where Srila Rupa Goswami ji was there. And then Rupa Goswami ji directly had been interacting with Prabhupada ji, instructing him, enabling him to write everything back in English, translate in English, so that those in the Western world could understand this philosophy. And one day, when something was ready, especially the Bhagavatam cantos were ready, he was asked, please go now. Don't keep sitting here and writing. That is not your activity. Your mission is to go and preach the knowledge to the Western world. And that is how then Prabhupada ji started his journey further. So this is in short about the Prabhupada ji and Rupa Goswami. Coming to the SadaGoswamis, we have very limited time. I'm going to be sharing all these notes. As I have already mentioned, the SadaGoswamis are, what I'll say, they have come to this world to help us. So what we will do is, we'll cover only the first and the second shloka of the SadaGoswamy Ashtaka. The remaining 6 we'll be covering tomorrow, and we'll also be covering what does Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu mean. So tomorrow's session is going to be important because we are going to be defining what is Bhakti, what is Rasa, what is Amrita, and what is Sindhu. So accordingly, you can understand. So coming to the SadaGoswamy Ashtaka, so the very first part of that Ashtaka is Krishnot Kirtana Gana Nartana Parau Premamritambo Nidhi Dhira Dhira Jina Priyau Priyakarau Nirmatma Sarau Pujitau Shri Chaitanya Kripa Bharau Bhuvi Bhuva Bharavahantarakau Vande Rupa Sanatanau Raghuyugau Shri Jiva Gopalakau Nana Shastra Vicharnika Nipunau Saddharma Sanstapakau Lokanam Hitakarinau Tribhuvane Manyau Sharanyakarau Radha Krishna Padar Vinda Bhajana Nandena Mattalikau Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyugau Shri Rupa Jiva Gopalakau Shri Gauranga Gunanu Varnana Vidhau Shraddha Samriddhi Anvitau Papo Tapa Nikar Tanau Tanubhritam Govinda Ganamritaihi Anandam Buddhi Vardhanaika Nipunau Kaivalya Nishtarakau Vande Rupa Sanatanau Raghuyugau Shri Jiva Gopalakau त्यक्त्वा तूर्णम् अशेषमण्डलपति श्रीनाम सदा तुच्छवत् भूत्वा दीनगणेशकौ करुणया कौपीनकण्ठाश्रितौ गोपी भावरसामृता बद्धि लहरी कालुलौ मग्नौ मुहुः वन्दे रूप सनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीर्जीव गोपालकौ कुजत कोकिल हंस सारस गण कीर्ण मयूरकुले नाना रत्न निबद्ध मूल विटप श्री युक्त वृंदावने राधा कृष्णम आहार निशम प्रभजतौ जीवार्थदौ युवमुड वंदे रूप सनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्री जीव गोपालकौ सांख्य पूर्वक नाम गणनति भी कालास्वानीय कृतौ निद्राहार विहार कादि विजितौ चातन्य दिनौ च यौ राधा कृष्ण गुण स्मृतिर मधुरिमा नंदेन सम्मोहितौ वंदे रूप सनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्री जीव गोपालकौ राधा कुंड तटे कालिंद तनया तीरे च वंशीवटे प्रेमोन्माद वसद अशेष दाशया ग्रस्तौ प्रेमत्तौ सदा आयन्तौ च कदा हरेर्गुणवरं भावा विभूतौ मुडा वंदे रूप सनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्री जीव गोपालकौ हे राधे व्रज देवी के चललिते हे नंद सुनो कुतः श्री गोवर्धन कल्प पाद पतले कालिंदी वने कुटः घोषान्ताव इति सर्वतो व्रजपुरे खेदेर महाविहलौ वंदे रूप सनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्री जीव गोपालकौ Hare Krishna. Since we started little late today, it's already 8:45, so we'll have a break today. We'll continue for this further tomorrow, wherein we'll understand the meaning of Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu and how we have to do the studies. Now, this particular series, we are going to be having a little different, wherein we'll be having these discussions. We'll be having certain lectures. We'll be understanding with presentations, as we saw today, the important aspects. But at the same time, it is important that we utilize the remaining 6 days, remaining 5 days of the week to actually understand this concept and try to absorb it. So it's my humble request that all of you kindly download the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu or the Nectar of Devotion on your mobiles. I'll also be sharing the link as I had shared the other day in the group, so you can go through it. So what we are covering today and tomorrow is the preface part. Whatever are the important aspects, important, what I'll say, paragraphs of those particular chapters, those particular pages, they definitely are going to be read by us in detail. And the important aspects will be discussed by us. And we'll simultaneously be having the lectures of Srila Prabhupada also, which he has given on this particular important topic going on further.